Hi everyone, welcome back to the Watchout tutorial series. This is part 2, software layout. So here we are on the Windows desktop, and I'm going to launch Watchout. And this is the Watchout welcome screen. And from here, you can start a new show, open a show, quit the software, or in this drop down, you'll get a set of most recent shows or saves that you have. So I'm just going to launch into a new show. We'll label this part 2. And then I'll get this Watchout software window. And we'll just resize this. And these 3 windows that you see here are kind of the most common windows that are used. They're not the only windows that are used, but if you're a designer or programmer, you're going to spend most of your time in these 3 windows. And so that's the stage window, the media window, and the main timeline. So it's good to note that all these windows are resizable just by grabbing into the lower right corner, and you can arrange them in any way you need to. You can also go up here to Window, Layout, and you can actually save this as a preset, so that way you can always come back to this. All these windows can be opened from the Window drop-down menu, and this is a list of all the windows that are available. Watchout has also integrated this new pop-up feature in all of these windows that allow you to quickly access some of the parameters for each of these windows. So starting with the stage window, this is where you would arrange your displays, and it also shows you a preview of your content that is in the main timeline. So you can add a display here, and we'll cover this in another tutorial, but this red box represents a display device, and you can move it anywhere you want inside of this stage window, and you can also scale this stage window however you like, and you'll see this crosshair represents 0, 0 in the stage space. So the next window is the media window. And this is where you will drag in or copy in or input via media, add media file into your show. And it will show you basically the name, a thumbnail, the type of file it is, information which shows you the resolution, duration of the clip, and the location. This here is the main timeline, and this is where you will drag your media into these different layers. And the higher the number, the closer to the front your image will appear. A few things to note here. This number here is the current position of the timeline, and this is the time across the top. So if you click here on 30, this is 30 seconds in from the timeline. And you notice that when I clicked, that cursor snapped to where I was. This cursor in purple is a snap to, or jump to, I believe is what they call it. And you can change that by Control T, and that will shut that off. No matter where you click, this will not follow you anymore. Bottom left buttons, there's a play button that will play the indicator, the position indicator here. There's also a zoom out and a zoom in button. Under these layers, you can turn these down and you can lock them out. And then this little kind of eyeball, it shows controls or attributes of the layer. And that is a more advanced feature. The space bar will also play and pause the timeline. So I think that's it for these 3 windows. Let's move on to some other windows. So let's look at the input and the output window. The input window allows external inputs into Watchout. So if you click this button in the upper right corner, these are all of the different inputs that you can have. The one that I've used most common is MIDI note, and this allows for a MIDI note to trigger into Watchout. And where I've used this successfully is going from a primary to a backup Watchout setup. And I want maybe the lighting board to be able to fire a macro that fires a MIDI note to come in and trigger a input. And in that instance, it fired what's called an auxiliary timeline that sent some control commands to switch us back. Really quick, while we're here, you'll notice that we received a message here in the messages window, and this is another important window. It's just saying that the MIDI port wasn't able to open. So as a designer and programmer, and even technician, this window is really great for troubleshooting purposes and for Watchout to be able to tell you kind of what's going on. You can just click this and actually hit delete. The output window here controls external devices using cues outside of Watchout. And there are, once again, 3 options here. If you click this button in the upper right, most commonly I use a string output, and this would be to send a command to another device, maybe a projector where I want to mute its signal. I would do that here. Let's look at the task window. Here you can add an auxiliary timeline, which we'll be covering in a separate video. But this gives you a way to separate different cues, media sequences, or commands as separate items from the main timeline. These timelines have all the same features as the main timeline, and the media inside of the timeline, when activated, will appear on the stage window. Timelines are great because it allows you to trigger events in sequence with the main timeline or independently of the main timeline. Another great feature of the task window is its layer hierarchy design, where the auxiliary timeline on top is closest to the front. Also noted here, you can add a folder and drag in these timelines into a folder to keep it neat. You can also lock out the task window, which does not allow you then to add or delete or reorder these timelines. The status window allows you to add in different states that the software can be in, and it's a quick reference for anybody to be able to quickly know what's going on at Watchout. And you'll see here that this says offline. If I was able to go online, this would say online, and then I would know that we're active. Same thing with standby. If I go into standby mode, you'll notice it says standby. So this is really great for a quick reference to what status we're in or where we're at. You can also add main timeline position and external time code. We've already discussed the messengers window, and then we have network and license manager. Display computers found on local network. This will display all of the computers and their serial numbers and IP addresses right here for you. So that's a great reference guide for technicians or programmers who want to quickly see what all the computers are on the network. And then the license manager will scan all the computers to get their licensing data. So I think that wraps up all the different windows here in Watchout and kind of what each one is and what each one does. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.